Welcome to another video, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about Masahiro the Bell Monk and how you could be building him. If you guys have been doing everything for the fusion, you should be having him by now or be very close to it. So in this video I'm gonna show you how you can build him, where you can use him, and everything else you need to know in order to do well with this new shiny legendary. So I hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be great. And don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday and Thursday, where I give you guys free account takeovers. If you want to support the channel for free, you can start Raid the right way with 4 amazing champions as soon as you start, and you're also gonna have 48 hours to use the promo code section for an extra amazing legendary champion. But now, let's get into the guide. Alrighty, so here he is, Masahiro the Bell Monk. I already got mine at level 60. I really didn't need him at level 60 this quickly, but at least we had a champion training event, so it's something. Let's just quickly go over his kit for those that haven't been paying attention. Heck, even I already went over this guy's kit and I still have to go over it, remember what exactly I'm trying to build for this guy. But yeah, he's an HP-based support type champion because he is mainly a reviver and a debuffer for your team. On the A1, he has a good attack all enemies, and he also brings up to 75% chance of decreasing 30% crit rate for 1 turn. This is not a very popular debuff to be bringing, so he is going to be kind of good for you in order for completing some obscure trials on Chimera and such. And all around, decreasing crit rate is not a bad thing to be doing, basically eliminating crit rate for bosses on dungeons and such. If you guys didn't know, basically all bosses have 15% crit rate, so with this debuff they basically never crit you, which is definitely not a bad thing not to be having. The cool thing about his A1 is also that it's an AoE, so this automatically means that if you want, you could be building this bad boy in a stun set to help yourself on some kind of wave contents, especially on things like faction wars. On the A2, we have, when booked, a free turn cooldown. Attack 1 enemy before attacking has 75 chance, up to 100% chance, of transferring all debuffs from all allies to the target. This also heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP and places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Damage is based on HP as everything else in his kit, but don't expect too much damage out of him, by the way. And this skill definitely is going to be worth booking up because getting yourself the cooldown and up to 100% chance of transferring all debuffs is going to be pretty awesome. He's basically going to be a cleanser for your team, but not only that, he can also transfer all of those debuffs, so if you're smart about it, you could be getting yourself a lot of extra trials on things like the Viper form and Chimera, but for that to happen, you first need to allow it to give you those debuffs. As for the A3, this is where the real money's at. Humble Savior books down to a 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies before attacking, revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. This skill can be used even if there are no dead allies, so technically you could be also doing the second half even with nobody dead, which has a up to 100% chance when booked, placing a stun debuff for 1 turn and a block buffs debuff for 2 turns, and also has a 75 chance, again books to 100, chance of placing decreased speed debuff and block buffs debuff for 2 turns instead if the target is a boss. So basically in wave-based content, you will be able to stun here, both with this skill and if you have a stun set, because you are attacking all enemies but also placing stuns. And don't forget, placing stuns is actually affinity friendly. It doesn't matter what kind of affinity you are, even if you're against spirit champions, which is a bad affinity for force, you will not have a chance to be weak placing. The place just happens, it doesn't require a hit, so that's going to be kind of cool. And the especially cool thing here is going to be about things like Hydra, because again, you are going to be placing block buffs on the Hydra, so that is going to be very, very efficient for you, because as you guys know, block buffs is a very essential debuff to be bringing on that fight. Also, bringing decreased speed against the Hydra heads is going to be huge, and also having yourself a reviver like that, honestly, an amazing champion with the strengthen, with the healing, all of that, pretty cool stuff. And lastly, we also have a pretty massive passive. For my sins, all allies receive 1%, stacks up to 15%, less damage for each turn taken by enemies and allies while they remain alive. Each champion's damage reduction resets when they die or between rounds, if there are multiple champions, yada yada. The other second half actually makes him a decent champion for PvP, even though, let's face it, he's not gonna be top tier there. Allies revived by this champion are immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification debuffs, basically any hard CC, until the start of their turn. Resets when the revived ally takes their turn, is killed or between rounds, and again if there are multiple, yada yada. So yeah, even though he's not gonna be the best PvP champion, this alone makes him a viable option for some earlier accounts accounts, so you could definitely be bringing this guy in the PvP setting, and he is going to be reviving with decent success for you. Okay, with the kit out of the way, now the question is, how do you build a champion like this? And basically this skill is going to be the answer for that. We can basically establish this guy is going to be an HP support type champion that has a good amount of debuffs and revives. So what does that automatically mean? Well, first and foremost, he needs to be fast, he needs to have a lot of HP because his heal from the A2 requires him to have high HP for big heals, he's gonna need accuracy, and if you want him to be reviving when you need him the most, resistance would be not the worst idea in the world, but resistance is gonna be something you're gonna care about a little bit later down the road. And of course defense percent is not gonna be the worst thing in the world, but obviously HP is gonna be the most important. And here I would like to actually show you how you should be building this champion. I'm gonna just build him right in front of you because it's really not a hard build, but I really want you guys to actually learn how to be building your champions easily, especially with the help of the filters and such. Obviously I do have myself quite a lot of good sets, and the best way to be building this guy I would say would be in a 9-piece feral, which obviously is gonna be out of reach for most people, but a 6-piece perception would be a pretty good idea because it gives a lot of accuracy, a good amount of speed, but you really cannot beat the 9-piece feral here because that is gonna be giving you 15% extra damage because you do bring free debuffs, and that's definitely gonna be great for things like Chimera, Hydra, that kind of stuff. You could also just build him in a vanilla speed set. Heck, you could supplement it with a few accuracy pieces if you really need to, like this. And as I said, the stun set would be a pretty good idea for him. In that case, you will want him to be decently quick, with a little bit of HP on the glove and the chest as main stats percentages, that kind of stuff. But for my account, I will be building him in the best way possible for me, which would be 9-piece feral. So let me show you what I'm gonna be looking for on the stats. Obviously the boot needs to be main stat speed, and we are gonna want to have HP percent on the boot. Everything else would be gravy, but yeah, let's just see what kind of boots we possess. I'm already using all of those boots, but let's just take a quick look what those are looking like. And here we can see this is gonna be an absolutely amazing boot for this guy, if my fat head was moved, of course. Let me go ahead and do that. There you go. And yeah, this is clearly the perfect boot for this guy. Plus 12 speed ascended, literally 30% HP, heck, even has accuracy and res, and even a little bit of flat HP. Not as best as percent, but we already have that. So let me just go ahead and snag that real quick. And now let's move down to the next main piece, which would be the chest and the glove. Here, it's gonna be vice versa. It's gonna be HP percent main stat, and of course, you can't have speed as main stat on these pieces, so we're gonna be looking for speed on the substats. And again, moving down all the way down to feral, like I said, speed is the name of the game, so we're even gonna slap ourselves a priority on speed, and the higher the better. I guess if I really want to be building this guy the best way possible, I am gonna have to take off my Arbiter gloves, but that's the way you play the game nowadays, guys. Like, you pass your piece of content, and then you throw back all of the pieces you took from people beforehand, so yeah, get comfortable taking the best pieces from your best champions if you're trying to beat especially hard pieces of content like hard faction wars, for instance. The chest, I'm gonna grab this one. It has a little bit of speed, a little bit of accuracy and res, a nice HP percent main stat chest that ascended into defense percent. Obviously it would have been even better with HP percent ascension, but defense is second best, so can't say no to that. And now for the rest of this, we are gonna be looking for the top half items. Here we go. Again, as fast as hell, and if it has HP percent, that would be best. And here we have it. Here's my fastest weapon with a little bit of HP percent, a little bit of res, can't say no to that. Here's a decent looking helmet, has speed, has HP, res again, not bad at all. And as for the shields, this is not a very amazing shield, I can tell that much. It's decently quick, but we don't really care about the crit rate and crit damage, so let's keep on looking. Yeah, feels like my shields are kind of under the weather. I'd say this one looks kind of fine, let's just slap that one on. And now let's move down to the accessories. Best case scenario, you're gonna have main stat HP for all of them, and best case scenario, you're gonna have HP percent for the ring. Here we have one, has a decent amount of HP, a little bit of defense percent, can't say no to that. Of course, the amulet cannot have HP percent, so let's check our banners first. This one's main stat HP with accuracy, HP percent. Not the fastest out of the lot, but it does have a good amount of defense. Let me see if we have some faster. Sadly, we don't. So let's just slap that one on. And last but not least, we remove this HP. And here we would be preferring accuracy on the amulet. And here's what we have. Main stat HP. Tons of res, by the way. Some defense, some accuracy. It's kind of okay, but not ideal. And here's a pretty decent-ish build. Obviously, Obviously, the resistance is not exactly good enough for right about anything, if we gotta be completely honest, even though you guys saw we had quite a bit resistance here and there. But if you really want to be getting reasonable amounts of resistance, we're talking about 300 plus for normal dungeons and heck 600 plus for chimeras. Well, in that case, the chest and the banner clearly are gonna have to be main stat res, and you're probably gonna have to even use a resistance relic or something like that. But for the most part, this looks like a pretty good build right now with tons and tons of HP. Like, look at this nonsense, 116,000 HP with good amount of defense. The speed is over 300, which is definitely good for most places, and the accuracy is in working range as well. But again, if you are lacking accuracy, the banner might switch to accuracy. That'd be a good amount of accuracy, and if that's still not enough, even the chest can go. I am gonna save this as a champion pre-build. This is something you guys really need to start doing for your accounts as well, so you can actually quickly switch over your best builds. As you see, I'm ruining quite a few champions for this to work, but I do have presets on those champions as well, so as soon as I need to use them, I'm just gonna go back to that build. Let's equip that, and that is gonna be my PvE build. If I wanted to be building this guy for PvP, however, again, we are gonna basically go kind of the same route, but here speed will be king, so anything with the biggest speed possible will be top tier. It would still be nice to have HP percent on the glove and the chest, but even if I don't, I'd still be happy to go for the fastest piece, because as you guys know, for the most part, at least in Arena, speed is king, even though if you decide to build this guy 9-piece Mercurial, which honestly I don't think anybody is gonna be building this guy if they have a good 9-piece Mercurial already. In that case, HP would be nice indeed. A 4-piece Stone Skin could be definitely pretty good here, so you can actually not get killed if you don't win the speed race. But if you're just trying to win the speed race, you could just be going for a 6-piece speed set with tons of speed and a bunch of speed on the accuracy as well. Anyway, moving down, for relics, this guy can take quite a few relics if we gotta be honest. If you have a hard time keeping him alive, an elixir could be okay-ish. That's gonna give him a little bit of accuracy. Something a bit more generic would be the Journal of Necrotos is making a little bit of sense, giving you a lot of HP, as well as a little bit of extra healing for the rest of your champions. You're not really turn meter boosting or anything like that, so half of it is gonna be not very important for you, but still the 15% extra HP from the heals is not gonna be bad. You could also consider giving him this thing that gives you also main stat HP with a little bit of res, and you're gonna be getting a little bit of turn meter boost once somebody dies, so you can actually heal him fast, that kind of stuff. If we're talking about end game builds, I don't know who in the right mind would be giving him a mythical relic, but Hollowed Hilt does make sense because he does have an active heal, and placing fervor like that would be pretty huge, but let's not pretend he is gonna be deserving of such a top tier. Other than that, if you're really struggling to get the stats, you could be giving him extra accuracy with something like a Molten Death Bell. It does have main stat accuracy, so that's gonna rise nice and quick. Or you could literally just give him something that gives him a little bit of extra HP, like Tempus Sanguinis, and so on and so forth. Like, basically, you could just pick the relic by the stat if you don't care too much about the effect. Like, here you go, HP, or accuracy, or res, that kind of stuff. For me, I'm not gonna be giving him a relic just yet, cause it might come down to what type of content I'm trying to use him for. As for the blessing, Cruelty would be a nice little blessing to be bringing, but if you already don't have yourself Brimstone on your team, that would be the best pick for a blessing in my opinion. So yeah, all around really comes down to what you already are bringing to the table. Brimstone would be generally good for everything, but Cruelty would definitely increase your damage and things like Hydra later on, I'd say. Also, we forgot to talk about this guy's aura. He does have an aura, but it's kind of weird one. Increases Force Allies speed in all battles by 25%. And technically speaking, if you bring yourself 3 other Force champions, this is gonna benefit nicely, because this is usually 19 in all battles, all the way up 24 for some voids, but 25 is actually pretty decent. But it's only for Force, so don't get it twisted. As for the Masteries, he is gonna be using generic support type Masteries for a little bit of extra damage. Getting yourself War Mastery is gonna bump yourself a decent amount of damage with the max HP, damage of bosses and such. And you're also gonna go down the support tree, so you can get yourself a little bit of extra accuracy, a little bit of extra stats from Lore of Steel, extending the durations of buffs cast by this champion as well as debuffs is gonna be pretty nice, that kind of stuff. If you're gonna be going for PvP, these are the types of Masteries you could be bringing according to Hell Hades: debuff tank or revive support, both of which go with the defense tree and support tree, but they have slight differences in their basically at the end. Depends on what you want most. You could be giving him extra accuracy or extra turn meter when somebody dies. One last thing, when it comes down to his skills, they're definitely worth booking. Sadly, there's no no real way to cheat yourself with a little bit less books, if you ask me, because even the A1 is gonna be a bit better for you if you get it booked. But if you're really strapped for books, obviously this is gonna be a really important skill to be booking. So what you could be doing is only book him with 4 books at a time. If all lands on the A3, maybe you just stop booking him if you're really strapped for books. But if you really want him to be doing the most for you, booking the whole thing will be more worth it. No need to really show you this guy in action or anything like that. It's not like he brings anything crazy in terms of damage and such. Everything is pretty straightforward, so I think that's gonna be it for this guide. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, a like and subscribe would really be appreciated, and don't forget to check me out live on stream each Tuesday and Thursday for free account takeovers for my viewers. Do let me know in the comments if you guys think I missed something important for this guy, so I can keep on giving you bigger, better guides in the future. If you want to support the channel for free, download Raid through my premium download link and start Raid the right way with 4 amazing champions, as well as an extra amazing legendary champion in your first 48 hours. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Crystal5, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.